The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media, the voice of Garden Talk Radio. Coming up on the program today, we're going to discuss bad bugs in your garden and what you could do to get rid of them, as well as planting fall garlic. Our guest is author Brigantti will be with us and will answer your garden questions. The hour is full, so join us.
You are listening to the most informationally packed hour of garden-focused radio in the country and on the internet with your host, husband and wife team Joey and Holly Baird. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
And welcome to another edition of the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Very happy that you chose us to spend a little time with today. I am your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you, about you, to help your garden grow better, to maintain your landscape, grow healthier trees, make your grass look greener, as well as preserving what you grow. Happy you're tuning in. Whether you're listening to us on one of the 18 AM and FM frequencies broadcasting our program here in 2024, through a radio app, through podcast replay, in-studio video replay, or through our parent website, which is thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com. Under the Season 8 tab at the top of the page. If you want to be part of the program, certainly you're welcome to do such. You can send us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or you can give us a call, toll-free, coast-to-coast, at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. If we can't get to you, leave a message. We'll call you back. Before we get in the program, Holly, it's time for this week's Joke of the Week.
Okay, ready?
Yes, I am.
What is the fastest vegetable?
Radish, runs, eggplant, cucumber.
The runner bean.
The runner bean.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I laughed when I found that joke.
Well, that joke is brought to you by Rescue.com.
American-made rescue products keep your family, home, and yard protected from pests, insects like wasps, hornets, yellow jackets, flies, ants, and more. Learn more at rescue.com. That's RESCUE.com. So, why don't we talk about some bugs? We talked about
good bugs last week.
Now we're going to talk about bad bugs.
Well, some bad bugs you don't want in your garden, and how to deal with them, I guess, is the best way to go about doing this. So let's start with Japanese beetles. They are a pest or a beetle. They fly around, and they will consume the foliage on your vegetables, pole beans, bush beans, rose plants, raspberries, the whole deal. They're not discriminatory. So there's a couple of ways in which one can go about ridding or getting rid of the problem with the Japanese beetles. One is using Phylum Bio products with Beetle Gone. It can be sprayed directly on your edible plants and has no water toxicity concerns, and application will stop the feeding and the pest will perish.
Yeah, so that's
beetlegone.com. Now, the other option is you could use a Japanese beetle trap, as we just heard about from Rescue.
Yeah, so you can use Japanese beetle traps. These are pheromone traps, and what you want to do is, instead of putting them like in the center of your garden,
the problem's on the tree. Let's hang the trap under the tree.
Yeah,
No, that's an incorrect application of it.
So you take it and you put it on the opposite corner, and then that way it'll draw the bad bugs, Japanese beetles, away from the problem area, and then trap them. Trap them
in the can in the bag in which is provided for you.
Yeah, and so this way, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I put this this trap in my yard, and it seems like I invited all the beetles in the neighborhood, the Japanese beetles in the neighborhood, and yeah, that might happen. But if you move it away from the problem area, it will help draw the ones that are being a pest to
it does
from you.
It does work if the application is applied and utilized correctly.
Yep. So the next one we have is aphids. Aphids are kind of the tick of the garden. They basically suck the lifeblood out of plants. And they are kind of evil. They can reproduce without mating.
Within a week.
Yep. And they just become an infestation quite quickly. So one thing you can do is if you do find a plant or a weed that the aphids are joining together and feasting on, you can leave that weed, because a lot of times they will do that. You don't want to pull it out because then they're going to go somewhere else. Some people will do like a soapy water mixture. That's one option. You just mix a couple drops of dish soap or even like a cast iron soap and some water and spray the plants, and that usually does get rid of them. It kind of gums them up, and they don't like that.
Well, you can also just spray them with a high power hose, knock them off, and very rarely will they reclimb up the plant in which they were affixed to.
You can do that, but if your plant doesn't need, like if it could be harmful to spray with a hose too. So
pressure wash the tomato right out in the street.
Yeah, so you just want to
neem oil also is a way in which you can use, and you can attract birds to the predator, attract the birds to get them to come into the garden to feast off these bugs. Also, ladybugs are a enemy of the aphid.
Mm-hmm. Ladybugs love to eat aphids.
What is it, 40 aphids an hour or something like that?
It's insane. Yeah.
Oh, look at that cute little...
Yeah, the cute little ladybug is just eating aphids, bloodthirsty for the aphids. But you don't want to, you could release the ladybugs into your garden if you purchase some, but there's no guarantee they're going to stay, whatever. So I would try something else. Like
50 to 60 aphids per day.
That's a lot of aphids.
For up to 400 in a 3-week before they are pupillate. So...
all right, so
ladybugs are good.
Yeah, they are good.
But we would shy away from you buying ladybugs in order to bring them into your yard or your garden.
I would agree.
Tomato hornworm is a problem in which, explain the symptoms, or if you do not know you have it, these are the signs in which you do.
So typically you'll see the tomato hornworm, or you'll know that you have the tomato hornworm because you'll have some almost pretty much ripe tomatoes, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to harvest those tomorrow. And then you go out to your garden and it looks like some little kid came and chomped around the outside of the tomatoes, but you see little black and like dark green droppings on the tomato typically. Now, there's times where the tomato hornworm won't have any tomatoes to eat, so just eat the leaves of the tomato plants.
Right.
That happens too. So those are the signs that you have them. And they will eradicate a whole tomato plant in one evening, a whole row in a week. It's very, very frustrating. You can try to look for them, but they blend in with the leaves of the plant very well. They look like a curled leaf, when they're asleep during the day. So what we have found is that inviting birds into your garden helps get rid of them in the way that the birds, if you take some bird seed and you put it kind of just amongst the tomatoes on like a little dish on what's it called?
Tuna can.
Like
post.
A tuna can on a post. Yeah. Post. That's the word I was looking for. Then that will attract the birds to your garden. And as the birds are sitting there eating the bird seed, they're looking around and they see, oh, there's a tomato hornworm or whatever they think it is. And then they will eat it. And that
snack
way
is what they think it's snack.
Yeah. They're like, well, this is better than bird seed. More protein. Juicy. And they do take care. And this has worked for us quite well over the last, 5 years, I think?
5-10 years, yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to bring the birds in. Colorado potato beetle is another problem that people are now and soon would be dealing with in their potato patch. Now, you can use neem oil, a mixture of water and neem oil, according to the label. Follow the label. More is not better. And spray on the foliage of the potato or tomato plant and cover the top and the bottom of the leaves. Repeat every 7 to 10 days as
the potato plant.
Potato plant, or if they are on your tomatoes. Sometimes,
okay.
Every 7 to 10 days as needed. You can also grow plants that will repel the potato beetle. That would be such as eucalyptus, catnip, marigold, nasturtiums, coriander or cilantro, onions, or onions would be the other one to mix in with your plants, your potato plants, in order to repel. Now, at this point, it's too late for most of us to incorporate those beneficial plants. That's, it's kind of companion planting. We're utilizing one plant to repel the insects so another plant can grow. That is positive companion planting, not some weird, is this makes this sweeter and that makes, nothing.
One thing that you can do is you can work the soil early because of how the potato beetle lays its larva. So if you disturb the soil early, that will help it. And then also moving those plants, any sort of nightshade plant, whether that be the potato or tomato, make sure that you're not planting in the same area. This can also a lot of times disturb them a little bit. And in the fall, if you have debris in the garden, say you had a potato beetle problem, move that debris elsewhere. Move it away from wherever the potato beetle was having an issue. You might want the debris, like a lot of times we leave the debris for to house the good bugs.
But also our debris is not diseased or bug ridden with nasty stuff. If it's that case, throw it in the trash and get rid of it, because you're much better not having any of those overwintering than having a mess that is going to induce more problems next spring.
Right. And so you do want to live in harmony with your good and bad bugs as much as possible, but getting rid of them is a lot more happier. And sometimes just having to go out to the garden and finding those potato beetles is a solution, unfortunately.
Real quickly, squash bug plants that deter squash bugs.
Yeah, so there's like bee balm, calendula, catnip, chives, dill, garlic, marigolds, mint, nasturtiums. Nasturtiums.
There you go.
That one.
Yeah.
Onions. If you say it fast and quick, nobody knows you said it wrong.
Like the Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire sauce. Onions, oregano, and tansies. So those are some also ideas as well that will deter those beetles away from.
And again, when we say companion planting, you have to do your research on it, because you can type in companion planting charts and you can get 37 charts and 34 of them are different. So you want to look at university extensions. You want to look at reputable sites in which has like we're speaking about, you can plant the dill or the chives or the catnip to deter the squash beetle or the potato beetle or the squash bug, that type of thing. Not that this plant grown next to this plant will make this plant sweeter. That is completely garden myths and clickbait. What is not clickbait is Walton's Incorporated.
So we are brought to you today by our sponsor, Walton's Inc. Listen, we know you care about where your food comes from, canning and preserving your fruits and vegetables, freezing, etc. But what about the meat? At Walton's, you can get all the equipment, seasoning, and supplies to make sausage, jerky, and any other meat product your way to your high standards. Do you want to make snack sticks that people actually like? Walton's created meatlogistics.com, an informational site to help you make the best finished product. Walton's even has a full line of their own meat grinders, meat mixers, sausage stuffers, and more to help you go from animal to edible. Walton's everything but the meat. You can use code GROW50, that's GROW50, to save 10% off your orders of $50 or more. Again, waltonsinc.com.
When we come back, we're going to speak about how you can grow great, successful garlic that's planted in the fall and harvested in the spring. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
If you could double the life of your raised bed boxes by sealing the wood with a clear, non-toxic wood preservative, would you? Well, now you can with a clear, penetrating product called Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's 100% non-toxic and easy to apply. Seal your untreated wood surfaces, even chicken coops, by spraying on Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's invisible, seals the wood from the inside out, and never wears off. Recommended by organic gardening experts, Internal Wood Stabilizer. Check it out at timberprocoatingsusa.com. Rootmaker starts your plants off right and keeps them going through harvest. From their seed starting trays with an innovative design that air prunes the roots to their large variety of grow bags, 1 to 60 gallons. Their products will provide you the harvest you've never seen before. Visit rootmaker.com. Use coupon code ROOT rootmaker24 to save 15% off your order at rootmaker.com. That coupon code is ROOT24 to save 15% off your order at rootmaker.com.
Protect your plants from damage with the 3-in-1 Plant Guard and Special Blend Fertilizer. Visit ivorganics.com. Use promo code RADIO10 to save 10% off your order. Pomona's Universal Pectin is a high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar or honey to sweeten. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Also available at natural food stores and online.
Water supply tanks provide BPA-free, long-term, safe storage for drinking water from 35 to 1,500-gallon tanks. Water supply tanks has you covered. From preparing for unexpected needs, off-grid property, easy gardening access, and more. For questions and to order, visit watersupplytanks.com and use coupon code GARDENING10 to save 10% off your order.
Are you ready to take control of your home's comfort? With Mr. Cool DIY Direct, empower yourself with our top-notch do-it-yourself cooling and heating solution. Introducing the Mr. Cool 4th Generation Mini Split, the DIY-friendly way to keep your home perfectly comfortable all year round. Our systems come with everything you need for installation, including our patented pre-charge line sets, eliminating the need for expensive professional help. Visit MrCoolDIYDirect.com to learn more and to take the first step towards a cooler, more comfortable home. Don't forget, use promo code GARDEN for a special discount and free nationwide shipping. Mr. Cool DIY Direct. Cool your house, heat your space, all by yourself.
Soil Diva Liquid Microbe Stimulant Spray improves the health of your plants you work hard to grow, stimulates the natural enzymes, and increases beneficial soil bacteria. Go to soildiva.net. Soildiva.net. Welcome back to the Garden with Joe and Holly radio show. Happy that you're with us today. Happy you allowed us to be part of your day. If you've missed any of the coupon codes that you've heard or you may hear throughout the program, you can certainly go to our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. Underneath the Money tab at the top of the page, you will find all of them listed for you, just like Honey Bee Healthy.
Since 2000, Honey Bee Healthy Inc. has helped beekeepers maintain healthy and thriving hives. Attracting pollinators to your garden this year is as simple as hanging a hummingbird feeder with a mixture of sugar water and Honey Bee Healthy Original. Don't be alarmed to see birds, bees, and butterflies dining together at the feeder. Pollinators coexist peacefully. Honey Bee Healthy is offering a 10% discount on an 8-ounce bottle of Honey Bee Healthy Original to this show's listeners. Enter discount code BEEGARDEN, that's BEE Garden, at checkout. For more information, mixing instructions, and more, visit honeybeehealthy.com. Speaking of pollinators.
Yes.
I don't know where I was going with that. But anyway, we're going to talk about growing garlic.
Growing garlic, it is one of the most simplistic vegetables or root crops you can put in your garden. Doesn't require the most healthiest soil, and you don't necessarily have to put it in the garden as you would maybe a tomato or a pepper. You can incorporate this into your raised beds, in some instances, containers, which is not recommended. We wouldn't recommend that, but some people do find success in growing it. So we're going to start at the beginning stages and then work all the way to current time of harvest. Now, you want to find good, reputable garlic bulbs. Preferably you can get it from jungseed.com, Jung seed.com. You can get it from your farmer's market, local source. You don't want to buy garlic that is from the grocery store because you don't know where it's sourced from. You don't know if it's, overseas, generic, whatever the case is. And you sometimes don't know if it's hardneck or softneck. Now, softneck is more successfully grown in the southern portions of the United States, hardneck, northern portions, but there are some very successful softneck growing applications in the northern portions. So you want to find your garlic source. then about 48 hours before you start, you're going to put it in the ground, you want to bust open the bulb to find the largest cloves. And I'm not saying you have to discard the tiny ones, but the larger the clove, the larger the bulb will be when you harvest it the following spring. So let's talk about planting it.
Yeah, so what you want to do is once you plant it, or when you're ready to plant it, you're going to plant it about 2 to 3 times its depth. So most garlic cloves are about 1 inch high, so you want to put it about 2 to 3 inches or so in the soil. And then you space it about 1 foot apart. Now
plant and row.
Yeah. So you want to make sure it's basically 1 per square foot. Mm-hmm. And you want to make sure that you are using well-draining, fertile soil. It is a root crop, so it's going to need it needs the well-draining.
But it will grow in kind of crummy soil.
Yeah, it will. It's I don't know. I always say that garlic is stupid easy to grow, and I really think it is, because you just kind of set it and forget it, plant it and forget it. And as Joey had mentioned, did you mention the time frame?
No.
It's 30 days before your first hard freeze. So for us here in zone 6A.
Yes.
6A, thank you. Our zone changed. Some other people's did too. For us, we planted mid-October,
which we might shove it back to about the first week in November now.
Yeah.
Now this is a guess. It doesn't, if you get it and you plant it and it doesn't freeze for 6 weeks and for let's say a month, you want to plant it a month before your first freeze. But if it's a month and a half and you plant it and it doesn't freeze, you're going to get some top growth, and it's not detrimental to the plant. This gets kind of a guideline to allow the plant to establish a root system before the dormancy period takes over. That's when it gets cold and freezes.
Yeah. So that's the important part, is that you want to give it time. So if you plant it earlier, it's not the end of the world. It's probably better.
But don't start in July.
No. It's probably better to plant it earlier versus later.
Right.
And as Joey had mentioned, all these zones have changed, or I mentioned they've changed, but Joey had mentioned we might wait till more closer to November, which is fine too, because it seems like our December is now mimicking November more, as climate has changed, etc.
But the good thing about snow in February, it won't last very long compared to snow in November.
That's true.
Yeah.
So that's what you want to do. And then you can mulch it. You don't have to mulch it. If you do mulch it, you just want to do a thin layer. Joey and I tried to grow garlic once. I don't know, 10 years ago, something like that. And we put like 1 foot of mulch over it. It was insane.
And it didn't do well at all. And then we got a hold of the garlic growing guy out of St. Louis, Mark Brown, who grows about 20 at that point. I don't know if it continues, but grew about 20,000 bulbs of garlic for the St. Louis Garlic Festival. And we said, "Here's what we did," and he said, "Here's what you did wrong." And that was pretty much everything. We did everything wrong. And
the mulching was okay, but it was too much mulch.
Yeah. But since that point, we have never mulched, and we have had some of the harshest winters on record, and the garlic has been phenomenal when we've harvested. So we've got it in the ground in this segment. We've got it in the ground, and it maybe has grown 2 or 3 inches, and now the winters come and snow and cold and all of this other stuff, and it's fine. You're just going to let it sit there. And we're going to go if it's got mulch or not. So here comes spring, and the soil's going to warm up. And the reason why you can plant garlic in the spring and harvest it in the fall, you can do that with elephant garlic just like you would onions. The purpose of planting garlic hardneck is what we grow in the fall is because it needs cold hours or chill hours. If it doesn't have the correct number or enough cold hours, it may not properly develop into the bulb in which we're familiar with. And it's one less thing you got to plant in the spring. So it's gone through, the soil's warming up, it's perking back up, and it's starting to grow vertically pretty rapidly. Now, at this point, you can water, keep it moist, but most of the time we've got a lot of moisture from rain in the spring, and we don't have to water it. You can also, if you feel it's necessary, you can top dress it with some compost or aged manure or fertilizer, liquid or granular, in order to give a little pop to it. We've not chose to do that. We've not seen a need to do that.
I think, perhaps some people just want to. They want to give it a little, like a habit, like this is what I'm going to do with my garlic or whatever. So yeah, you do have that option in the spring. And then just making sure that it stays watered. Typically not an issue for most times in the spring, but if for some reason the spring is more dry, you do want to make sure it stays watered. Then what will happen, depending on if you have hard neck or soft neck garlic will get what's called a garlic scape, and it's basically like this little curlicue
that can extend 8, 12, 14 inches as it grows up and twirls around.
Yeah.
That
happens, and it's a seed pod. Basically, it is a seed pod that is growing out of the garlic, because the garlic is like, hey, I'm getting ready to reproduce because I'm growing. So what you do is when you seed the garlic scape or the little seed pod, you cut those off, just the one shoot.
The growth, yeah.
Yeah, so you just trim that back, and then usually within a couple weeks, you'll see the top growth kind of turn yellowish brown, and that's when you know it's ready to harvest.
The lower leaves, not the top growth.
Yeah,
you said the top growth.
Oh, the lower leaves.
The lower sets of leaves begin to die back, and you can harvest. You don't have to wait till the whole plant dies back.
No, but you do want to give it a couple weeks after you trim this.
Right, about 3 to 4 weeks. Now, the reason why you just don't let it sit there and die back and then harvest when you want, cloves are in the ground. If it gets wet, it can rot and start molding. Now, the soft neck, they will start to crimp over like you see onions would at the time of harvest. When that top growth falls over and crimps the stem, it's done growing. You can go ahead and harvest it.
So now you want to store the garlic. So what we do is we cure it. And so curing it is just the process of hanging it, or even just like kind of
vertically stacking, standing it vertically into a tub where air can circulate and gravity can pull the juices from the stem back into the bulb.
Yes. And it also allows like a little bit of drying so that it stores better. And so you want to cure it, I don't know, a couple months probably?
Based on conditions, 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, so a couple months.
Yeah.
And then at that point you can cut off the tops, the bottoms, whatever, give it away, braid it, whatever you want to do with it. You just want to make sure you store it in a cool, dry place with good air circulation. So you don't want to like shove it in the back of your fridge. Don't
put it in the fridge at all.
You don't want to put it like in a plastic bag in a corner. Some people use baskets.
You're going to get about 6 months out of this.
Yeah.
As 6 months pass and you're getting to 9, you're going to notice the internal clove begin to dry up. Not saying that it's going to just completely shrivel up to nothing, but that you lose less and less and less viability or nutrient value as that starts to dehydrate essentially. So if you have an abundance of garlic, you could essentially bake it, you could roast it, you could dehydrate it and turn it into garlic powder like you would buy at the store. There's several different options you have there instead of just letting it dry up and putting it back in the compost pile. Now, when you harvest your garlic, let's say you harvest it this year, you're going to want to save the largest bulbs, which will contain the largest cloves, and set them aside so you can plant them next year. We plant a variety of garlic. Georgia Crystal, Purple Galaxy,
German Hardy.
There's a Spanish Roja.
Yeah.
We don't,
we never labeled ours.
No.
And that's okay. It's
just whatever the biggest was. That's what we may have. We may just have one variety right now. I have no idea.
Who knows anymore? Yeah. But it's it's fun to grow garlic, and I think it impresses people who don't grow anything or don't really know,
how garlic is grown. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know, like, I've given it to people and they're like, wow, this is amazing. And it's much better than store-bought, just like pretty much any vegetable.
If you're going to cook with garlic that you've grown or been given, go with a quarter of the amount that you normally would use from a store garlic.
I don't agree with this because I love garlic.
I know, but if you're not
used to
it's going to
blow your socks off.
Yeah, the fragrance, the aroma, it's going to be overpowering.
Yeah. Well,
you can always add more. You can't take it away if you've over garlicked yourself.
This is true.
Real quick on the garlic scapes, what can one do with these scapes once they've harvested? It's not just a throwaway product. It is a usable item that it's an additional crop the plant gives on the hardneck.
Yeah, so you can add them. They're almost like chives in a way, but like garlicky chives. I know you can add them to stir fries, you can grill them, you can chop them up fine and put them in pasta, etc. They're just basically like little garlicky chives.
Yeah, you can make pesto,
eggs,
but
maybe.
boy, it's a strong pesto.
Yeah.
It's a strong pesto. So if you've got questions on how you should be growing garlic in your neck of the woods, send us an email, gardentalkradio@gmail.com, and we will help you out with your growing situation. Well, summer is here, it's in full swing, and the Japanese beetles are already wreaking havoc on many of our gardens, Holly.
Yeah, well, if you're looking to successfully control beetles without damaging the environment, look no further than Beetle Gone from Phylum Bioproducts. Derived from a naturally occurring soil bacteria, Beetle Gone is the only organic solution that successfully controls beetle invaders. Just mix powder with water and spray on your plants. Once ingested, the targeted pests will stop feeding and die. And since it's an organic BT product, it's a great choice to use on your fruits and veggies in addition to your ornamental flowers and trees.
Not only does Beetle Gone work, but the best part about it, it is safe to use around beneficial insects such as bees, ladybugs, and butterflies, and has no water toxicity. That's Beetle Gone from PhylumBioproducts.com. So BeetleGone.com is the location. And you want to know and see all their other products? Go to PhylumBioproducts.com. That's PhylLOM Bioproducts.com. When we return, homesteader and author Brian Brigantti will be with us. You're tuned into the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
Take the guesswork out of composting with the AeroBin 400 or smaller 200 for easy composting. The AeroBin mimics how nature decomposes waste. The AeroBin is easy to use. You prepare your balanced organic waste, just open it up, drop it in, and close. After a short time, fertile compost is produced, which is easily accessed via the lower side door. The thermal insulation in the AeroBin conserves heat, leading to rapid breakdown of the biomass and works efficiently year-round, even in cooler regions. There is no need to turn the biomass, and it is pet and rodent resistant. It has little odor and can kill annoying weeds and seeds. It is BPA free. The AeroBin 400 or 200 comes with a reservoir at the bottom to collect the leachate. When diluted, makes for great compost tea liquid fertilizer. AeroBin composts kitchen and garden waste quickly. Easy to assemble with no special tools needed. The AeroBin makes composting rewarding and easy. Go to burpee.com or homedepot.com to purchase. Jung Seed Company is a family-owned and operated seed company since 1907 with the largest selection of seeds and plants online. Use coupon code 10TG24 to save 10% off your order at jungseed.com. That coupon code is 10TG24 at jungseed.com for 10% off. Are you bugged by bugs? You need Naturally Green Products No More Bugs, environmentally friendly. Made in the USA, No More Bugs is a cedar blend that repels and eliminates mosquitoes, no-see-ums, ticks, fleas, roaches, ants, and more. No More Bugs is safe for you, your pets, and plants. Available online at nomorebugs.net, Amazon, Walmart.com, and the Home Shopping Network.
Blue Ribbon Organics, providing locally made organic compost and soil blends for gardeners, farms, landscaping, and more. To find our products nearest you, visit blueribbonorganics.com.
Happy 65th anniversary to David J. Frank, Southeastern Wisconsin's leading landscape company. Their award-winning services include everything from lawn care, landscape maintenance, design, construction, renovation, irrigation, sustainability, and more. Big or small, let the experts at David J. Frank handle the hard work for you. Find out more at davidjfrank.com.
Your mosquito frustrations are over. Now with Mega Catch, suitable for residential and commercial use. Mega Catch mosquito traps produce a vast array of mosquito-attracted stimuli, including safe CO2, and can attract mosquitoes and other biting insects up to 150 feet away. Easy to use and set up. The Mega Catch is ready to make your outdoor space comfortable and enjoyable at megacatch.com. Use coupon code JOEYB, my name Joey B, at checkout and receive 20% discount on your entire trap order at megacatch.com. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy you've allowed us to be part of your day. Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
Brian Brigantti is the owner of Red Leaf Ranch. He is a homesteader, artist, and author. He shares his projects and progress at Red Leaf on YouTube as well. Welcome to the program, Brian.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we thank you for taking time out of your day and not only about to educate Holly and myself, but all of our listeners. And I'll start with this. Why don't you tell us about Red Leaf Ranch and how it came about? What's the story there?
Yeah, of course. Well, just for a little bit of backstory, I'm originally from Chicago, actually. I was born and raised in the big city, and then I moved to New York City to pursue a career in photography. But after a few years and having grown up in a big city, I just grew overwhelmed with city life, and the opportunity presented itself for me to move to the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, and I took the opportunity. But the goal wasn't necessarily to garden or to start a homestead. It was just to get away from New York City. But then the pandemic hit, and I wasn't able to travel back to New York, which I was doing at the time to continue my photography work. So I was just kind of stuck. I had all this time all of a sudden, and with the looming uncertainty of what the food situation was going to be like because of the pandemic, I decided to learn or to start gardening and farming and growing our own food. And the name Red Leaf Ranch actually is a play off of my partner's business. He owns a carnivorous plant nursery, and that's what brought us to Tennessee. It's called Red Leaf Exotics, so I thought Red Leaf Ranch would just be a fun little play off of that. And now, as a collective, we are Red Leaf.
Well, the pandemic, however you want to look at it, it taught us a lot of things about a lot of stuff, whether we like to have learned that or not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. I feel like it was a very rare opportunity for a lot of us to really reflect and take a good look at our life and pivot if we really had the opportunity to and create a new normal for ourselves. Because when in the world is the world going to stop for like 3 months again? It was a really rare opportunity. And as tragic as the pandemic was, I'm honestly really grateful for it. It gave me the time and the space to really change the entire direction of my life. And now I garden and I create content full time because of it.
I would have to agree. I think for many of us, the pandemic was very pivotal, and I think that I want to say it was a positive thing, but definitely pivotal.
People turn a negative into a positive.
Yeah. I think
yes.
So it sounds like your partner has somewhat of a green thumb if he's growing carnivorous plants. What about you? What was the most intimidating thing for you when you started, this homesteading, gardening journey? Did you kind of lean on to him, or what was something that was you were like, I can't believe I'm about to do this? And what was the most intimidating part?
Well, I guess for me personally, I mean, I'm so fortunate that I had the crutch that is my partner. He's literally been gardening since he was a kid, so he knows a lot about gardening. But he focused primarily on landscaping and ornamental gardening. He's never really pursued growing food, so it was really my own undertaking and fully my own. And I guess the most intimidating thing about it was, I guess I'm the type of person that puts pressure on myself and wanting to get us to a point where we were like completely self-sustaining and completely reliant on the garden. So I guess me putting too much pressure on it was, I intimidated myself. But along the way, I've learned that, failure is very much a part of the process in gardening. I mean, when I first started, I killed so many plants. We did not eat that much from the garden that year, but I learned a lot along the way. And something that's really cool about gardening in particular is there's this really magical thing called compost. When you kill your plants, you throw it in the compost and you turn it into goodness. You turn it into food for the next growing season. So literally your failures become part of your success. So I thought that was a really cool parallel to see within gardening and reflect it back at life in that way.
Fantastic. So you had a book recently come out, Gardening for Abundance, Your Guide to Cultivating a Bountiful Veggie Garden and a Happier Life. Can you tell us, for our listeners, maybe something that will pique their interest them to pick up a copy, and just a little bit more about your book?
Absolutely. Well, through my gardening journey, I've realized how much the garden reflects the ways we should take care of ourselves. The way that we tend to a garden reflects in so many ways how we should tend to ourselves and our communities, the people we care about. And I've learned so much about gardening along the way. So in the book, I'm teaching the very basics, the fundamentals of how to garden, but I'm taking it a step further and sharing the teachings that the garden has taught me on a more spiritual and holistic level on how to take care of ourselves, how to ground yourself, how to align yourself with the mindset of abundance. So no matter what life throws your way, you have a really good head on your shoulders, and you're going to navigate through it, and it's all part of the plan. It's just, I'm teaching you all about abundance, not just in the garden, but in everyday life as well.
Well, and there's different types of people. There's people that, well, okay, I'm just going to go work 40 hours, come home and do my thing. And there's people such as you that you create your own destiny. You've got to drive where, failure happens, but failure can only happen so much, because I got to make this thing work, because it's me and nobody else I can rely on.
Absolutely. I've always been that way. If you are unsatisfied with your life, it is honestly your responsibility to change it, to make it be the way that you want your life to be. You have to take action. And the garden is a great reflection of that, because if you do not take action, you will not get a good harvest.
Right. And the mindset of our past generations, well, this is the way it's always been. You go and you have this kind of job as a real job, and you do that, and you come home and you just deal with it, whether you like it or not. Those days are over.
Yes, absolutely. Our generation is very headstrong, and they won't settle for anything less than what they truly desire. And we live in such a fascinating time, such a unique time in our history, where thanks to technology and social media and the internet, you can create literally whatever life you want for yourself. You just have to want it.
Right.
You just have to believe it. You just have to desire it. You have to take action, take the steps towards it.
Well, let's talk about your homesteading journey here. What is something that you are looking most forward to in your journey? Maybe this year or 5 years down the road. What's the thing you look forward most to it?
Honestly, starting this whole garden journey and homestead journey, it's been such a dream being able to create such a beautiful space, grow all this wonderful food for my partner and I. But quickly, I realized something that I was lacking within it was community and our family. We love sharing, and community is such a big part of gardening as well. Like, you get such an overabundance of food, you want to share it with your family. So honestly, what I'm looking forward to the most is expanding our homestead so that it's big enough to house family like my mom, my younger brother even, and also create space for people to visit, and host retreats as well to inspire and teach people in real time, in the physical, not just in the digital world, how to pursue a life like this. And it's really cool because outside of just the vegetable gardening, we also have my partner's carnivorous plant nursery. We focus a lot on encouraging and building biodiversity to encourage and rebuild habitat for wildlife. So there's a lot going on here. So we really want to create a space where people can really tap into that and nurture that curiosity for nature.
And it's all things that you personally enjoy. It's not something you're dreading doing. It's something you wake up and can't wait to get started.
Absolutely, exactly. And the work is so much bigger than ourselves. Like the way the world is right now with climate and And just the way the world is right now, we need to turn to nature more than ever, because she is the answer for a lot of the problems that we are having. And we have to reattune ourselves to be more collaborative with nature rather than trying to control her. I feel like this whole desire for control and consumption has really led the planet to the course that it's on. But if we work in harmony with nature, that is the answer for sure.
I definitely couldn't agree more. So what is something that you learned and you knew you had to learn the lesson for yourself in homesteading? Just like a lot of us, people can say this is what's going to happen, XYZ, but you're like, I need to figure this out for myself. What is one of those lessons that you've learned in this process?
Well, it's very interesting, the dynamic of just rural living and homesteading. Having grown up in Chicago, I also lived in San Francisco for a short time, and then lived in New York. Something about big cities is that they have their own pace. They have countless opportunities for you to tap into and hone in on. But rural living, there is no pace. You really have to create it for yourself. And when embarking on the homestead journey, you quickly realize, especially if you want to start an edible garden or taking care of animals, or building a business off of it, all of it is dependent on you, your drive, your motivation. So I guess learning how to be more responsible was the biggest lesson. Like literally everything depends on you on a homestead. And that can be very overwhelming, or very daunting to some, but there is a beauty in that because you are in complete control of everything that's happening. Everything that happens is literally of your own creation. And that's something really special.
And for people who have lived in the city like you have and go to that rural area, you experience a silence that you've never experienced before.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yes. The nighttime is so silent. Also, we can actually see the night sky here, which is like the first time I saw the full moon and we could actually see outside at night because everything was illuminated by the full moon. It literally brought me to tears. It was so beautiful. I had never experienced that before. Also, there's so many birds here. It's so nice not having to listen to people yelling outside or cars honking or subway trains or who knows what else. Like the sounds of nature are so beautiful and so peaceful and so grounding. But it can be a little surreal, learning to navigate through the silence or being still in that way. Especially, funny enough, that was one of the challenges I had to navigate through, was learning how to be still, learning that it's okay to be still and not feeling guilty about not doing anything and just allowing yourself to like rest and relax and be, because that's something I really never got to experience living in a city. It was go, go, go all the time.
Well, Brian, we greatly appreciate the time you've offered us. How can people find out more about you, the Red Leaf Ranch? How can they find your book? Where do we go for those locations?
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure. Well, if you want to find me, learn more about me and my journey and embark on this journey with me, you can find me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. We are Red Leaf Ranch on all those channels. And if you want to learn more about the book, you can head on over to our website, redleafranch.com. And we have our section, Gardening for Abundance, for you to see everywhere that the book is available.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for your time and your education to Holly, myself, and all of our listeners. We thank you very much for that.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. Take care.
Absolutely. And when we come back, it's your garden questions and our garden answers. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Wind River Chimes will always be the inspiring harmony. With a large selection and customization options, you will find the sound that soothes you. Visit windriverchimes.com to shop and find out more. Mantis tillers, the premium long-lasting gas-powered tillers, are the perfect solution for any garden. This Mantis machine is available with 2 or 4 cycle engines with a 19-inch or 16-inch tilling width. Your DIY companion in your garden and your lawn converts easily for edging, aerating, and more with optional attachments. Find details at mantis.com. Deer Defeat is an all-natural based animal repellent to keep deer and rabbits away from your valuable plants that is odorless after 30 minutes and dries clear. It creates a continuous, invisible shield to protect your plants. Works for 30 days through rain, snow, and freeze. Will not clog your sprayer. Apply to your property without environmental damage. You can spray directly onto your plants up to flowering, then apply around your plants to continue protection. No need to reapply. Money back guarantee. To purchase, go to deerdefeat.com and use coupon code RADIO to save 10% off your order.
Have insects such as aphids or fungal gnats invaded your plants? Fight back with Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bits. Organic Summit Year-Round Spray Oil kills insect pests on indoor and outdoor plants. All natural mosquito bits kill fungal gnats larvae in container plants. Both products are harmless to people, plants, and wildlife. Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bit are available at garden centers, hardware stores, and at summitresponsiblesolutions.com.
Make hand watering easy and enjoyable with HoseLink retractable hose reels. No more tripping over hoses, kinks, tangles, and avoiding rolling the hose up. With an automatic retractable HoseLink saves you time and effort manually coiling up your hose, leaving your focus on the things that will bring you joy in your garden. Available in multiple colors and lengths, you'll be sure to find the retractable hose that works for you. To find out more and to buy online via hoselink.com, use coupon code RADIO10 for $10 discount. Garden like a pro in 3 easy steps and receive customized fertilizer recommendations for your garden or lawn. Soil Savvy helps you determine what nutrients your plants need to thrive. Never again over-apply nutrients they don't need. A patented process that makes you a smart gardener. To get your soil test kit, go to mysoilsavvy.com. Dig planting holes from a comfortable standing position. Step, twist, pull, and plant. Visit ProPlugger.com.
Welcome back to the Gardening with Joe and Holly radio show. Time for your garden questions, our garden answers. Thank you for allowing us to be part of your day. If you got a question, you can certainly fire that on over here to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or if you'd like to jam your fingers in the phone, you can send us a voice, or you can give us a call toll free, 1-800-927-SHOW. That's toll free, coast to coast at 1-800-927-7469. Had a number of questions. Let's see what we can get through, Holly.
I am growing containers for the first time. Do I need to use a saucer underneath? So I think this is more or less personal preference, especially if you are growing on a patio or deck where you probably don't want it to be stained.
Or if you're on a balcony and it trickles down underneath the people below you, and then you got angry neighbors.
Also, so his concern is that it would be flush with I think it was his deck, I forget.
Okay.
And then it wouldn't allow for drainage. But most containers you grow in are not flat on the bottom; they're beveled. In some instances, unless it's like a plastic pot that you're reusing. Right. Yeah. So as long as I assured him, as long as there was drainage, it was fine. It's up to him, whatever. But I think that sometimes people just like the aesthetic of it too. Well, if let's say you're using a root maker grow bag and you put it on a saucer, you water it, and the excess water will collect in that saucer, and excess will overflow. But then the capillary action will kick in at some point before it evaporates, and it will wick it back into the container or the grow bag, so you can reuse some of that water that you're not having to water. I mean, it's not long term, but it's a little extra water that will retract back up into that soil. So I think, again, it's personal preference. Some people will take a plastic kid sled and put plants in that. I mean, they're like all different colors, and kind of create like a little basin where there is maybe an inch of water in the bottom of that will wick back up over the course of a couple of days, so they don't have to water as frequently. That's smart too. You don't have to use a plastic sled, but you can certainly use several different things there. All right. Let's see. Next question here. I have tomatoes with the lower stems that I have found out are air roots. What can I do, if anything, about them? It's not bad. A lot of times, especially if we have high humidity, the tomatoes are naturally going to do that.
A lot of moisture.
A lot of moisture.
And you can be splashing water up on the stem.
That too.
Yeah.
Tomatoes just have this because of the type of plant that they are. Basically, when you see those hairs on the tomato plant, that's an opportunity for root. If you're splashing water on the plants, high humidity, a lot of moisture in the air, they are going to possibly form roots like that. There's not really anything you can do.
It's not harmful to the plant. Yeah. There's nothing most of the time that you're doing, and there's nothing really that you can do in order to prevent it. It's a natural occurring thing, so it's no foul one way or another. My ground garden has had so much rain in the last 2 weeks. There's no ponding. The raw water has drained through the soil. My fear is the plants have suffered. Is there anything I can do to help my plants out? Well, it's good that there's no pooling or puddling. That's good. There's good drainage.
That means you have good drainage. If there's no pooling or puddling, I wouldn't worry about it. You could mulch.
Mulching will help, as it will hold or retain some of that moisture to prevent it from going into the soil. Now, we're going to focus on ground garden here, because containers and raised beds, totally different animal when there's too much water and it's leaching out the nutrients. Ground garden, you're going to see the effects, if there is negative effects on your plants, about 7 to 14 days. If it's going to start to turn yellowing, if there is too much water, or if there's puddling or ponding, it's going to prevent the oxygen in the soil from getting to the plant, and it will basically suffocate the plant. You're going to get a yellow plant. In this application, there is not any puddling or ponding, so it appears that it will not long-term harm the plant. Again, yellowing, it would be the lack of nitrogen and or lack of oxygen to the plant, because the roots are submerged and cannot breathe. So there's not much you can do. 14 days, they'll come out of it. There are ways people will put tarps or stuff over top of it to shed the water off.
I don't think necessary.
There's a lot. There's some people that's gotten 4 or 5 inches of rain in 3 days.
Right.
This is just part of. People will often. This is one of these things where straw bale gardening is a way to go about doing it, because the bale never gets submerged. It only absorbs the moisture it needs, and it repels the rest. So you would always be above ground, and no matter how much rain you got, unless you were getting feet and feet of rain, your straw bale is always going to be adequately moisturized, and the plants are always going to have the sufficient amount of nutrients, because the bale is breaking down the and in the conditioning process, it created the humus that it needed in order to supply the plant with the nutrients.
Right. So, as Joy had mentioned, the straw bale, I think the mulch, straw.
Proper drainage. Make sure that if you are in the position where you have pooling and ponding, that you figure out how to create ditches and or waterways in your garden to shed that water away, no matter how much water you get. If that is not an issue, not an opportunity there, build the garden up. Bring material up so you are higher than ground grade, so the water will always shed away from the garden. It will absorb, yes, but amounts of water like some people are getting, it will run away, almost like your garden's on a... With that being said, we are out of time, and it's time for what we learned today. Do you know what you learned today?
I learned that potato beetles, we don't have this issue, but if you disturb the soil early in the spring, it seems like this helps with a lot of things, not just the potato beetles, but the tomato hornworm as well. No, the squash vine borer. But that's a whole other topic. But I think just knowing that if you kind of disturb the soil a little bit in the beginning of the year could be helpful.
I learned that what carnivorous plants were. I did not aware of that. Holly informed me of that. I figured it was the plants that ate things, but sometimes you got to be afraid.
And I want one.
You want one, yeah.
Yes.
And I'll have to help get your finger out of it when you put your. What happens if it bites you? That's no. Also that Brian lived our guest. From all of these big cities, and then wound up in Nowheresville in Tennessee, in the middle of nowhere country, and had to basically relearn how to live in a way that he never imagined he would need to, because of the silence and the nature.
Yeah.
Going from what they call the concrete, city or concrete jungle to the actual nature of nature.
I think that's amazing.
What we learned today is brought to you by Honey Bee Healthy.
Whether you're a gardener, a bee hobbyist, or professional beekeeper, Honey Bee Healthy Inc. has the products to help you maintain a healthy hive and thriving garden. For more information on how to use Honey Bee Healthy in your garden, visit honeybeehealthy.com.
Tune in next week to the program where we'll be discussing gardening in your own body. Regardless of your size, you can garden, and we'll talk about that, as well as farmers markets. And our guest is author Margaret Ann Kelly will be with us. So until next week, for
Holly Baird,
I'm Joy Baird, and we will see you in the garden.